Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romigh to introduce today's program.
Good morning, I'm Mike Romigh and welcome to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. A trusted name in healthcare, the St. Barnabas Health System has become a visionary leader in providing compassionate, quality care. Founded in 1900 as a charitable nursing home, St. Barnabas now spans across 3 counties, and our home-like accented campuses are found in Allegheny, Butler, and Beaver counties. Included in the services of our patients, residents, and retirement communities, you'll find luxurious retirement living, personalized living assistance, and hands-on skilled care. Additionally, the St. Barnabas Medical Center offers the following health services that encompass a range of specialized doctors, dentistry, home health and home care, hospice care, and palliative care. The St. Barnabas Health System continues to be focused on the needs of our community and our residents now and in the future. In building upon its heritage, St. Barnabas continues to reach those in need and lives out of its mission through individual and institutional services that promote the health, education, and social needs of others. Men and women are invited to join us in the work of continuing Christian caring, healing, and teaching as we bear witness to our founder's reminder that God is able. In offering solutions and opportunities to enhance the daily lives of our residents, patients, and communities, St. Barnabas is excited to bring you topics of interest to enlighten, entertain, and educate you. And today's show is a shining example of all that can be accomplished when the elements of teamwork come together for a shared and common goal. Beaver County and our greater Pittsburgh communities continue to experience growth in many business sectors like healthcare, education, energy, shale gas, information technology, and in some communities there is growth in population, families actually moving back. We also benefit from a very strong collaborative effort with local governments who are in support of and are in partnership with those growth initiatives. Today's guests, whom of course along with their teams and others are leading the way to accomplish those missions. Please join me as we welcome back to the Best of Beaver County, Helen Kisik, President of the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce, and Bethany Williams, Executive Director of the Beaver County Regional Council of Governments, otherwise known as COG. Helen and Bethany, welcome back and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bethany is dressed in the Steeler colors.
No, that's Helen.
Helen is dressed in the Steeler colors.
Can't help it.
She has, the only thing missing is the number 7, I think.
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry.
But they're not very festive looking. And Bethany, welcome back.
Thank you.
Bethany, you can't see. She has brand new boots on today. Christmas
Merry
presents.
Christmas.
So everybody's wearing something Christmassy. But
Yeah.
thank you for coming in. I believe since I've been hosting the show, this is the 3rd time that we've been together talking about this. So it spans, we usually do one of these shows at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, and then a follow-up to see what went well last year and what we're looking forward to next year, or this year. What is, I guess tomorrow is a big event at Geneva College that's being put on where Beaver County is going to be highlighted in terms of local, state, and municipal governments coming together and finding out, what is the state of Beaver County? Is this a pretty exciting time?
It is. This is our kickoff event hosted by the Chamber of Commerce and will be held at Geneva College. And it is our opportunity to hear from the Beaver County commissioners what's happening around the county, what happened in 2021, and then looking ahead, 2022 and beyond.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the Council of Governments is concerned, is everybody on board? Is there, their plans all synchronized and being put forward?
Yeah, I mean, we always attend every year. We buy seats for our members, a handful of them, and then our members actually purchase their own seats. We have a handful of people also committed to come tomorrow. And it's a great opportunity, I think, for us to really get a sense from the commissioners of what what they're thinking, what they're projecting, what kind of projects are coming up, what questions the community has. And so one of the things we get most excited about is submitting the questions in during that event and getting a chance to hear the answers from the commissioners in that moment in front of the public of what's going on at the county level for many things. And so COG is always supportive of that event, especially because it's government relations, but also just because it's a great time to network with general community leaders. It's not just government that matters in this conversation. It's really the working together of all of the different sectors. And so to get to network with folks at that event, but then also hear from the commissioners is really, really wonderful.
In both of your experiences at running these organizations and addressing those questions at the meetings, are those questions being answered? Have you seen those questions change over the past couple of years? Because oftentimes it's, jobs. How are jobs coming in Beaver County or in our particular municipality? And home ownership. We're bringing more families into Beaver County. Have those questions changed over time?
They are somewhat changing. There are also the standard ones. I'll predict today that we'll probably have somebody ask about the taxes reassessments that are happening. Somebody will always ask, what state is the Shell project in and how is that impacting? We have struggled in Beaver County with workforce readiness because of an aging population and because of our inability is the wrong word, but we have not been able to retain youth in this area to the degree that we would like and need in order to really support this growing economy that's here and now. And so those, I believe, will be some standard questions that we'll see. And then there's lots of new things happening. American Rescue Plan funding, which Commissioner Manning, I think, spoke about on the radio this morning. That really comes out next week. They'll probably give just an overview of that as well.
And Bethany, what have you seen or heard?
Yeah, I mean, I think the questions have changed since my involvement, at this level. The questions have changed from how are we going to attract jobs to now that jobs are coming, how do we get our people ready for that? And so I think there is a shift of that. One of the things that I think has been helpful is with the cracker plant coming in, there's been this re-energization, that's the right word,
okay.
Sure. Energy around, bringing in, people to train our people here in Beaver County. And so really building up the entrepreneurship and the job workforce readiness and all that kind of stuff. And so I think the questions are really shifting towards, if there's jobs here, how do we make sure that our people are taking advantage and not getting displaced by new workers? And so we want people to come in, but we also want our people to be stronger and more stable. And so I'm hoping to hear a little bit more about that tomorrow, really hearing what it takes for us to get Beaver County stronger so that as new people come in, we're just growing. We're not losing people in the process.
And our people in terms of Beaver County residents, we've been hearing about this for a couple of years. They were bringing in people from all different states to come in and work on that cracker plant, and people were saying, well, where are the jobs in Beaver County? Is there funding, and has there been funding for education to educate our people here who may not have the wherewithal or the money themselves to get the education, to get those jobs?
Yeah, and really the one-stop shopping that folks should be aware of is whether you visit CareerLink or Job Training Beaver County, those two organizations can then put you in contact with the right entities. We could talk about CCBC and its workforce development programs that it has. They collaborate closely with Job Training of Beaver County as well. There are a number of ways for people who are not properly skilled today to be able to upgrade and get into those positions. And really, the programs are ready. There's just not enough student population yet flowing to those programs.
You find the same thing, Bethany?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look across the leadership across Beaver County today, the general population may not realize it, but the collaboration that's happening across the county today is far more significant than 10 years ago. And I would say, even with the education study that's going on across all of the school districts, they're not just talking about workforce readiness of the adults who are in Beaver County, they're talking about how do we start in middle, high school to start to get our students ready for that and to educate them on what the opportunities are so that in 6 years, when your seventh grader is ready to enter college or apprenticeship programs or those kind of things, they actually know what's possible here in the region and what jobs are available so that they can skill themselves properly. And so it's not starting just with the people who are eligible to work today. It's starting much earlier now. And so that pipeline of growth and development is really starting from a very early age now in Beaver County in a way that I don't think I've ever seen.
And the cracker plant is near completion at this point, to correct. And it's a time of anxiety for a lot of people from a few years ago when they started hiring thousands of people to build that facility. And now that it's complete, we were told early on that all of those thousands of jobs weren't going to be here when it was completed, but maybe 600 or something like that. And so what happens now with the local economy, with the housing market, with the hotels, because a lot of those people came and stayed in hotels? Are they going to move on to different parts of the country? And then is that going to leave a void in Beaver County?
There's definitely a shift happening. So the 600 number is what we've been told by the folks from Shell would be the permanent positions associated with operating the plant. Of course, there are contractors and supporting services that make that number bigger. So it's shifting. You've seen housing development start, you've seen infrastructure being put in place, and it is all there to accommodate, yes, Shell as an ongoing entity, but also other businesses in this area. So there's a definite shift happening. Hotels, the challenge that Beaver County Tourism has, together with, again, a collaborative effort that they're setting up, is to convert from having hotels occupied by construction workers, now instead trying to attract tourism instead for overnight stays. So we have our work cut out.
Yeah, and Bethany, as you know, leader of the Council of Governments, you're answering these questions from the local municipalities, Shippingport, Hookstown, Monaca, and all these places. What are we going to do now?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you'll see in those communities is that there is very creative leadership having all of those conversations and have been having them since before the public was having that conversation. And so I think what most people are talking about is population has been declining in Beaver County for a long time, and that hasn't changed with Shell. If you look at the 2020 census, I mean, it really has still continued to decline. And so those municipalities are talking about becoming better versions of themselves, improving their housing, improving their commercial districts, improving kind of the relations with their community so that people want to live there and to become those magnetic destinations for bedroom communities, but also for commercial destinations as well. And so from a municipal perspective, Shell was a meteor strike, and it dramatically changed our landscape physically and metaphorically. And I think what our municipalities are realizing through this process is that while it's a huge benefit to the county to have these jobs and this change in industry come, it also means that we need to be looking more at what does it look like to be a stable community. And so a lot of our training is really centered around how to stabilize your community, how to improve what's existing, so that as the new things come in, they come in because the things that are there are worthwhile and that they want to invest in that community. And so that's really more of the conversation happening right now is stabilizing the existing community.
Yeah, and thinking about that sonic boom that occurred the other night, maybe meteor strike is not the
Sure, maybe we should use a different analogy. That's right.
But when you mentioned, Helen, about the American Rescue Funds coming into the area, how is that going to be dispersed? And I'm sure, Bethany, you're meeting with a lot of people who say, how much are we going to get? And who decides that?
Well, I'll echo what was said this morning by Commissioner Manning on the radio show. There's $46 million that came in the first wave. Of that, they'll make announcements, I think, next week of roughly $10 million that go to municipality infrastructure projects. I believe he said it was $20 million that was going to internet or broadband type initiatives, and then there's another range. A second wave of $46 million will also be made available, I think he said around mid-year. All those funds have certain parameters around them that need to be met, but he sounded hopeful and encouraged, and yeah, so the money is there, it just has to be invested in the right way.
As with other grant funding, is it going to be specified to what you can do with it, how it can be spent, and when it must be spent?
I believe the answer is yes. Yeah.
Okay, so they can't get the money and say, well, no, we're going to do this instead of that.
Absolutely. The parameters are actually fairly narrow. There's definitely latitude for creativity within those buckets, but they gave you specific buckets in which you can spend that funding. One of the things that's important to know is that each community that had enough population received an allocation themselves as well. So while the county is also investing in projects that are needed for municipalities, each municipality that applied for and received their predetermined allocation also has that money. And so every municipality is having the same conversation about how do we use the money that has come in to us individually as well. So we're looking forward to seeing what the county does, but we're also trying to support our municipalities as much as possible. And really the reporting is the biggest stressor right now of exactly figuring out how to tell them how you use the funding and tell them properly. So.
All right. We'll continue our conversation with these two women who are leading Beaver County in different organizations, and successfully so. We'll find out more about all these activities going on in Beaver County with Bethany Williams from the Beaver County Council on Governments and Helen Kisik from the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce when we continue on the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
It's been stated before that working at St. Barnabas is compassionate work with excellent career opportunities. In addition, we've heard when you enjoy what you're doing, it's not work. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen in to what motivates their employees.
Hi, my name's Susan Elletary. I'm grateful for my nursing career and the satisfaction that excellent care brings. This alone keeps me coming back every day. When our residents look forward to seeing us and are thankful for our excellent care, it goes a long way. Keeps me coming back every day.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information, or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary.
I'm Mike Romigh. You're listening to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. We are joined by Bethany Williams. She is the Executive Director of the Beaver County Council on Governments. COG is what it is referred to, and you'll hear that and you'll say, what is COG? Well, that's what Bethany gets paid for. And Helen Kisik is the Executive Director of the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce. When we went to break, I said two women leading Beaver County. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was doing radio shows, and we'd say, women are the future. You know, men were getting laid off, not getting, their jobs back in manufacturing and things like that. Women were getting educations at the time and moving their way up the ladder to success. And now, you are shining examples of how that has come to fruition and leading the way for other women to build in Beaver County. Would you agree?
I'll take that compliment.
Okay.
And I think opportunities are there for many, and I'll segue right into one of the challenges that Beaver County has is that it's still not diverse enough. That includes people of color that aren't represented properly yet, and we're going to do our darnest over the next 10 years to really start to make a difference there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And you're seeing that in the business sector as well?
We're seeing people paying more attention to the fact that not always is there equal opportunity and the ability to step into roles where they should. So I'll give you a perfect example for our Chamber of Commerce. We have a new coordinator this year, and we really tried to make sure that as we were interviewing for those positions that we reached out into the community in a way that perhaps in the past when you just posted on Indeed and the same folks would look at that description, we tried to make sure that it was a broader reach this time so that we have a representative group to interview and to select from.
Oh, very good. And Bethany, at the local level, you're seeing this changes in the governments and councils across the county?
I would say there is a very strong focus, especially in our trainings, on what it looks like to create communities that people feel welcome and hospitality towards people who don't look like you. And so we have had conversations with IDAC, the Inclusion Diversity Awareness Council, and have had them present to COG members just to be able to talk about what it means, especially in policing. That's a big piece of the conversation, but also, just to create communities that people feel welcome and don't feel discriminated against. And so our trainings are highly centered around that. We have talked a lot about the inability to attract and retain public safety officials recently. That's been a big piece of the conversation in 2021 for COG. And one of the things that has come out through that conversation is maybe we're not doing enough outreach to talk about the jobs and the trainings that are available to our minority residents, because the outreach is not super strong at the moment because it's always been an institution that people have just walked in and signed up for. That's really shifted. And so in order to start attracting new people to volunteer for fire departments, to apply for the police academy, those kind of things, doing more outreach into the minority communities is going to be a top priority.
I would suspect that would be a fine line to walk, because as you do that, the outreach, then the white population would say, well, wait a minute, are you giving them extra incentives to get a job that I'm qualified for?
No doubt it's a fine line. We just want to be inclusive, and I think we just need to make an extra effort to ask ourselves, are we being inclusive, and are we giving similar opportunity to all who could and should?
Yeah.
And I think the important piece of that too is not assuming that there is an effort being made to the majority population. It's replacing the lack of effort made into the minority population. And so, over time, we haven't spent as much time, because we're a 92-93% white county, that the conversation has been out in public to the general public, but there hasn't been actual intention to talk to our minority populations. And so the shift is really to say, we want to talk to all people. We don't want to just talk to the majority. We want to talk to the minorities as well, because they are just as deserving of these opportunities.
And looking back at 2021, were you happy with the successes that came about, the growth that came about? It was a tough year for everybody. Can you mention any successes that occurred?
Mike, you nailed it. It was a tough year, but it was a rewarding year in many ways. That collaborative spirit that we talked about earlier was loud and clear. I think we're done trying to invent things by ourselves. I think we're trying to leverage each other and build with each other. And that really had to happen in 2021, as it did in the year prior to, because the pandemic is just really wreaking havoc with businesses in general. We've seen a number of businesses close. We've seen people retire, which we knew was going to happen already, but I think it was accelerated. And so we made ourselves available as a Chamber of Commerce to supply resources to people, information to people, so if they were struggling as a business or wanted to thrive more as a business, we could connect them with the right entities across the way. So I'm very proud of what we did in 2021. We had a joint event in the summer that the Council of Governments put on that we had a chance to work on together. We're going to do some more of that to come. So, yeah.
And Bethany, you're still doing internet meetings? Are those still things that people, especially now after the holidays and going into the new year when we're seeing the numbers rise again, are people still a little bit anxious about coming together and would rather do it on the Zoom meetings?
I think what you're seeing right now is a lot of hybrid. Even the event tomorrow at Geneva has a virtual option, and we at COG have done the same thing, where all of our meetings have both options right now. For people who feel comfortable and prefer to be in person, they're more than welcome to do that, but we always provide the option to join virtually. Our conference, we hosted fully in person outdoors this year during the summertime when cases were low. Our local government conference typically attracts about 250 people from across the county and the region. We were less than that this year. We were probably about 120 folks, but so there's a little bit of hesitancy, but I would say it ebbs and flows with the case count. If the case count is high, people are a little less willing to be in person, and you'll see those meetings switch back to virtual. But if if the case count is low and people are feeling more confident, they're vaccinated and boosted, those kind of things, people develop that comfortability a little bit more. And so it really, I think people have been going on the temperature of the room, how people feel, how their members feel, how the people attending the meeting feel, and they operate as such.
Yeah, and as far as the successes from the Beaver County Council on Governments, are you able to keep up? Are the members able to keep up under these difficult circumstances?
Yeah, I think we've really had to pivot in the last year, where we're seeing less attendance at our monthly meetings, but we're seeing more attendance at the trainings and workshops. And so people really feel a gap of knowledge because they haven't had these opportunities to kind of get together very often, but they're not as willing to come out to regular meetings if they're not on Zoom. Okay. So we've shifted in that way. Our members are really committed to getting together one way or another, but it's just a matter of finding the right context.
Yeah. Helen, you had mentioned about the American Rescue Act and the funding that is going to be coming in and released. A lot of it has to do with internet access. And as we're seeing now, schools are going to computer learning again now, some of them. Will this help some of those districts and some of those people who live in areas where they don't have access?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And there's a continuous effort, and you'll see it in the funding that's being
That's the
allocated.
broadband access to.
Yeah, I prefer to call it internet because there's different ways that you can do that.
Yeah.
Broadband could be one of those. But not only will schools benefit from the broader distribution of the ability to connect into the internet, businesses will, and people as they attend church, for example. There's a significant movement underway, both by vendors in that space, like if you ask Comcast Business, they're making moves in this space, and then also again the government supplying funding. Yeah.
Let's talk about going into 2022 and the idea that local governments change, Bethany, and you're seeing that right here in Beaver Falls. Longtime Mayor Quay has been defeated and will be replaced, and a couple of council members are coming in. How does that not only Beaver Falls, not specifically Beaver Falls, but we're seeing the park over by the library and some of the things that have occurred over the years. Do we start when governments change like that, new people come in, elected officials come in, do you have to start at square one again and build it up, bring them up to speed, or do you not know? Is it just change in whichever direction they're going to go and you have to adjust?
Well, what you're seeing this year especially is that we've had huge turnovers in councils. Beaver Falls is not unique across the county. We've had a number of municipalities who have turned over significant numbers of seats. And so I think when we did our count, it was around the 50 number mark of people who have come in as newly elected officials this year. And so our new mission this year for COG is to help equip and train these new folks who are coming in who maybe are running because they care about their community but haven't had experience in this field before. It's really going to be important for us at COG to be able to educate and equip these folks to be able to understand their role in municipal government. And so it's great news that people are running for office in Beaver County because for a long time we had vacant seats in a number of communities. And so you're seeing less of that now, but you are seeing a lot of new perspectives. And so we're going to have to kind of work alongside of folks to make sure that their energy is matched with their education and they're able to really do their jobs well. So we're excited to see what this new energy brings to our municipalities. It's definitely unprecedented.
Wait and see to see how it's all going to work out.
Wait and guide.
Yeah, okay, very good. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And talking about working together as a team, not only through the chamber but through the COG, it's local government, but it's also state and federal government that you need to get help from. How is that working out? And what are you looking forward to in 2022 in terms of what the needs are in Beaver County and whether you can work as a team with some higher elected officials?
We're very fortunate in this county to have excellent state representatives that we work with. They understand us. They are regular attendees to whatever events, forums that we might have. So I always feel like it's an open dialogue to be able to get their attention. Same actually with the federal level folks as well. So yeah, I just continue to look forward to informing them and vice versa. That's been a good two-way partnership.
Yeah, because there's certain things at the local level that you just don't have access to in terms of grants or funding or things like that. So you have to reach up and say, hey, we can use your help on this.
Right.
And it's been an open door as far as you're concerned, you found?
Yeah, and I was on the air a few weeks ago with Lou Velati and Mick Jones from Beaver Falls, and Lou was saying that he's really serving as a conduit for some of that for the projects for the communities. And so having the Corporation for Economic Development on board with the growth for Beaver County is really immensely beneficial for us because he has those connections in Harrisburg and beyond. And so being able to work with people who know who to talk to when you have a question is really important as well.
So let's talk about what you're looking forward to. We have about 2 minutes left of the program. What are you looking forward to in 2022? What are the goals of the Chamber of Commerce?
Hey, it's our 50th year of existence.
Congratulations.
So we're very proud of that, and we serve our members, and we want to make sure we continue to be there for our members. There will be many ways that we'll celebrate, and just stay tuned to the events that we have and the networking that we need to continue to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we're in the same place where we're really looking forward to serving the needs of our members, our new ones especially, bringing in these newly elected officials. That's going to be important. Public safety is going to be a primary target for us, as well as data development. And so we'll continue to serve outward and inward to the municipalities, really trying to help be a good partner and partner our municipalities with other sectors, but also to really provide the resources that they need to do their job well.
And you're confident that with the downsizing over at the cracker plant from the people who were in the construction, it's not going to have a large economic impact on Beaver County, that it's going to continue to grow from some of the ancillary businesses that will be coming in for it?
No doubt. It's a shift. There's new businesses coming in. I think Beaver County has a lot to look forward to.
Okay, very good. Helen Kisik and Bethany Williams on the Best of Beaver County, local governments. And if you have an opportunity, you can call the chamber about the meeting tomorrow. Can people still sign up for the luncheon, or are you pretty much booked up?
Ooh, it's a little tight, but
Okay.
for those super eager, call 724-775-3944, and I'll try to find a way.
All right. It looks like it's going to be a good year economically for Beaver County and for Beaver County as a whole. And we thank Bethany Williams and Helen Kisik for coming in and giving us the information and keeping us on the right track. Thank you for watching. It's the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Network. We'll see you next time.
Of the many things that make St. Barnabas Health System apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of their employees.
Hello, my name is Emily Tahansky. I am thankful for being able to help people in my job, whether I'm teaching an aerobics class that keeps residents active, maintaining the pool for all to enjoy, or helping residents explore the next level of care needed for their safety. It feels wonderful to be a positive in many ways.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information, or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at 11 for another edition of the Best of Beaver County on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.